What is the best revenge you've ever gotten? My brother had just turned 16. Got his license. Got a car from my parents. And trashed his bicycle because he didn't need it anymore. I was 13 and my bike was what got me around. My brother is an ass that gets grounded a lot. Grounded from the car too. He would then just help himself to my bike. After many warnings I took matters into my own hands. I loosened the handlebars on my bike. Seeing the handlebars pop off the bike and him eating street was a glorious day in my revenge book. When I was in 7th grade there was a boy who started spreading rumors that I blew him. My revenge may have been a bit too cruel. But I mean, that was a big deal in middle school. I told his mother. I even teared up a little bit for effect when I told her the story. She went home. Beat the poop out of him. And I got a phone call apology. Frick you Evan. Back in college. I lived in the fraternity house and shared a bathroom with several other guys. I noticed my bottle of cologne went dry much faster than it normally did. I started to take my toiletries back to my room since then. Before I did though, I pissed in the empty bottle. Throughout the semester I take note of the fill line and how it got lower and lower. I finally told my sweet mates they'd been spraying themselves with my piss after I moved out. TLDR, my old roommate smelled like pee. Asshole manager put me exclusively on night shift when he knew I had a very pregnant wife at home and gave me a poor review despite an inch-thick stack of printed emails from customers saying I was awesome. Fast forward 10 years and my wife works in HR. Here's a familiar voice next door in a job interview. After the interview my wife pokes her head in and asks was that man's name XXXXX. Dart. It was my old manager. Let's have a chat about him. She says to the interviewer. He didn't get the job. When she told me, I was happy for a month. Mainly because he'd never know it was my wife that completely fricked him over. I worked in it at this company. The IT department has its own budget and one particular line item is for chairs. My chair had just broken. So I looked around for one that wouldn't kill my back like the last one did. It was a $400 chair and the budget was already allotted for it. I told the finance guy, whom took caring of ordering from vendors, the chair I wanted and sent him a link. He said he would order it right away. 2 weeks pass and my new chair comes. But it's the exact same model as my last poopty chair. Needless to say I was unhappy. A couple of months go by and the finance guy wants his computer upgraded. Not only does he want an upgrade, but he wants a laptop as well so he can take it home. I then denied his upgrade for 2 years and when he did finally get a new computer, it was a hand-me-down from another department. TL. Doctor don't frick with an guy's chair order. So I was skiing a while back at a local mountain. I didn't have nice skis, but they got it done. At the end of the day, I set my skis in the last slot on the very full rack and turned to go inside. I hear a crash and I turn around. Some shat had knocked my skis out of the rack and was placing his own very nice expensive skis in the rack. I turn and confront him. Hey, those are my skis that you just knocked over. What's the deal? Sorry man, I just got these skis. They need to be set in the rack. Can't have them getting ruined, ya know? Plus your skis are really poopty, I'm sure you won't mind putting them on the ground. Stunt. All I could do was agree with him. Yeah, you're right man. My skis are pretty poopty, aren't they? I'll just store my skis over here on the floor. Thanks bro. Appreciate it. I was fuming. I saw the guy head for the lodge. My next move is something I'm not proud of, but it still makes perfect sense to me. Me and this gentleman had just agreed that it was time to upgrade my skis. So I did just that. I gathered my things, minus my poopty skis, and I scooped his skis off the rack and hopped on the bus back to school. He was right. They really are nice skis. I am a car enthusiast and work on my Jeep quite often. One ass in my high school continually fricked with my car. So one day, I took 4 jack stands and a floor jack to school. And during a study hall, I put his car on blocks and hid the wheels and tires all over campus. The best part was I never got in any trouble. My old neighbor is a dumb crusty ass that will fly off the handle at any chance he can get. One night he lost it because I parked in front of his house for an hour. We exchanged choice words. A couple times he threatened to kill me, knowing full well that he's a small business owner. I went home and signed his personal and business email up for thousands of mailing lists. The process was fairly slow at first until I found the FDA mailing list site that will let you sign up to 2,000 plus mailing lists. I added his business address to computer security lists, retail lists, porn lists, you name it. I was furious when I started the whole process, but after 2 hours of this, I had worked myself into a calm, trance-like state. Does the punishment fit the crime? I don't know. But if you are going to be a dumb twat, you deserve to have unfavorable things happen to you. In high school I had an issue with someone stealing my gum out of my backpack. I ended up painting the top piece in each row with the fingernail polish used to stop nail biting. Hilarious. From a very similar thread, one of the kids in my brother's special ed area informed me that some kids had been picking on some of the more severely disabled kids. That part of the school had a huge range of kids and disability. This one was normal but had some serious learning problems. So, I just went there and followed my brother. Some little sophomore pushed him down and called him names and spat on him. So I sucker punched him and kicked his ribs in. It worked well. He wore the black eye for a good 2 weeks and it was still visible after that. And his ribs had to be wrapped for a while too, I believe. Got suspended for a week. The principal asked me to apologize and it offended my dad and I both. Might have gotten less. It was a school in a really nice neighborhood and fights were extremely uncommon, so a lot of people wanted me expelled. But the principal has a disabled kid and he was kinda on my side. My dad bought me a new video game and gave me $100 to enjoy my week off school. I knew that this was my duty and he was happy that I did it. I fricking hit my toe of the corner of a desk. I fricking burned that desk. Revenge is sweet. Edit. Thanks for the Reddit gold, never got gold before. I had the most evil teacher in 2nd grade. She hated me more than anything. So one day I raised my hand and for about 30 minutes she didn't call on me, but I was persistent. My hand got so tired but reluctantly she called on me. I already knew what I was gonna say. I was stretching. She looked at me for 2 seconds then started to shake in anger. You could see goddamn veins on her temple. She put me on red that day. But I know it ruined her day. My brother was a massive ass to me growing up. We moved to a new town and I made friends while he fell into drugs. He tried to keep doing the PP-ish older brother thing. Finally one night at dinner when he was laughing at me because of something nerdy I said, I just replied, I don't give a frick what you think of me. I have friends. The snide look on his face just dropped. I know it sounds like a small thing, but it was a turning point in our relationship and was extremely satisfying. My ex-wife left me for another guy. This guy was average looking but made good money. 6 years later she has 5 kids. Got fat. Is broke and calls me bitching about how much she can't stand him or her new life. Best thing about this revenge, I didn't have to do a thing. Years back I was a manager of a tech support dept for an ISP. Company had 2 call centers plus a data center. I had to manage all personnel. So we used AIM, I know, I'm old, to communicate between buildings. New CEO comes in and decides he needs to eliminate all chat clients because people can use them for non-work purposes. No background at all. BTW, his solution? Just use the phone. Never mind that when I'm being messaged by a subordinate, they are already on the phone with the client. Can we just create work-only handles? No. He says he'll have our developers build an internal chat client at some point. Never happens. So, since I'm also admin on the mail server, I start reading this as Shat's email. And wouldn't you know, He has been spending the vast majority of his time emailing back and forth with his GF in Colorado. Even sending dirty pics back and forth. Quite a few taken in his office. I printed the whole load of them out. Took about a ream of paper. And handed them to the company owner. Dude was fired the next day. The moral of the story is, if you're going to frick with the admins, you better make sure your poop don't stink. I used to live with a buddy who was dating this chick we didn't get along with. And by we, I mean all our dude friends. She was insecure, super prissy, and clingy all at the same time. The final straw was when she started inviting herself to guys' night and then complaining that all we did was drink beer and play video games. So fast forward to them getting engaged. She practically lived at the house now and it was high time I got a different abode. So, as my parting shot, I gifted my buddy 4 years of Playboy. I think it cost me a grand total of $24. Worth every penny. My buddy gets to see tits and she gets volcanically mad every time it arrives. And since the bill comes to me, all I have to do is renew it. Sweet sweet justice. I had a friend that would constantly play really irritating pranks on everyone in our group of friends. One day a few of us had had enough of his bull poop and posted a really ridiculous ad in the M4M section on Craigslist with all of his contact information. For 3 or 4 days straight he got nothing but dudes sending him PP pictures and he couldn't figure out why. My girlfriend and I moved to her hometown with my then 2-year-old son. And were staying with her parents while we saved up to get a place. Well, the week before Christmas she decided she didn't want to be with me anymore and called me at work saying, "Come get your son. I've already packed your poop." I arrived there to find my son in his PJs on the porch with no coat standing next to our things while she was inside with her family and new BF. I had never hit a woman. But damned if I didn't want to then. But I digress. Anyways. We took a bus back home and stayed with my parents. As I was unpacking my stuff I found a customized t-shirt of hers that she mistakenly packed with my stuff. It was a screened t-shirt with a picture of her little sister who had passed away at 8 years old the previous year. And it was the last Christmas present she had gotten from her. When I saw it, I took my laptop outside, set it on a still in front of the burn barrel in the backyard, and proceeded to Skype call my ex. She answered with, "Before you say anything, I am so sorry for WH. Hey, how did you get that?" As I started to douse lighter fluid on the shirt. And then proceeded to light that fricker and throw it in the burn barrel before her horrified eyes. This one time I downvoted this guy who bashed my post. Got him good. Not personal revenge but revenge on my wife's behalf. I worked for the BBC. I controlled the lighting on a music program Top of the Pops. They replaced a dance troupe with a new lot. One of them went to school with my girlfriend. Now wife. She told me of her bullying and arrogance and how she made her and few others' life a bit miserable. I didn't care though. Quite a few performers can be a bit divas. I went to the same school and never noticed it. But being a studious kid I never hung with the in crowd. When I got to the studio that changed. The dancer recognized me and thinking I was her audience member and said something along the lines of, "Hi there. Fancy seeing you here. I'm a performing here you know. I might get you into the green room later. You can collect autographs." That's not a bad thing to say but as was said with was a certain tone of voice and twist of her lip that irritated. When their spot came along I dimmed the spotlight on her. To make sure the camera never paused on her. I did it the week later too. There wasn't another chance as that dancer was let go. The camera didn't like her. I feel bad about occasionally it but there it is. I've done many acts of kindness since. A guy had the balls to apply for a job using completely made up credentials. His portfolio included projects he had ripped off my own portfolio website. Our HR person noticed. Sent me his link and when friends in other companies asked me if I knew him, I decided to get even. He even listed himself as the CEO of a completely fictional company with offices in London, Berlin, Sydney, New York and Rio. The one thing he forgot was to register the URL he listed in his email signature. So I did it for him and set up a redirect to the Wikipedia entry for imposter. Last I checked, that domain had 2,000 hits. He found out someone registered his domain, but he still has no clue who it was. I love domain privacy. When I was around 18, this girl I worked with teased me on a daily basis about how skinny I was and how goofy I was. She was constantly making fun of my silly jokes and the way I related to others. I mean, this poop was non-stop. One night I had a work party and invited her over. We ended up making out on the couch. We had sex. We ended up getting married and we've been together for around 17 years. As for the revenge, dude, I put 3 babies in her belly. They tore her junk up on the way out. Literally. Tore her junk. I watched it happen. Call me skinny again. I freaking dare you. When I was about 14 years old, my friend and I were really into Yu-Gi-Oh and would get pumped after every episode we saw. So anyway, this one time after we finished watching an episode, we decided to play for keeps. After a heated 1-hour game, I managed to squeeze out the W. My friend is obviously upset and grabs my rarest cards and chucks them into his turtle tank. He had a snapper. That turtle fricked my cards up. So at this point I storm out of his house and devise a way of getting back at him. It's then that I remember he liked chocolate. So I proceed to poop onto a napkin and cut it into several small bite-sized pieces. I then roll them up into small milk dud-shaped balls and pack them in a Ziploc bag. The following day I meet up with him and offer him some chocolate. He ate an entire nugget before he realized that he had eaten my poo. I am not a bad person. But when you frick with a 14-year-old's Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, I've fricked up his childhood. TLDR, my friend destroyed my Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards and I gave him poo chocolates in return. Hey you. Thanks for watching Reddit Stories. If you enjoyed the video, consider hitting like and subscribing. Your support means a lot. We also have a Discord community where we will be running giveaways and fun surprises throughout the year. Come along and meet some new friends. You look great today.